great opportunity to share some information that I got. Well, information that God was just putting down in my spirit and getting me to understand. Um, During this journey, it has not been easy. But one thing I have learned is that we all sometimes have to go into different shifts, uh, shifts of living. Sometimes it's isolation, sometimes it's around people, sometimes it's both at the same time. It's really intense. And while doing this, it will look shaky to people on the outside. It'll make you look like you are not a stable person. Sometimes you will look like you're delusional, especially to someone who hasn't went through the process, and most people have not, or they have and they stopped in a dead in the middle. No judgment there, because I know I've stopped a lot of times during this journey, y'all. Um, and so, uh, yeah, yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is. So, uh, oh, excuse me, I don't want to get too tired, but that's the process that I've learned. You have to still follow it, no matter what it looks like, no matter who thinks it's weird or not. You have to follow the process, and you have to make a decision during the process. Who are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to who created you, or are you going to listen to who is trying to dictate you? You know, um, and I struggled with that. I ain't gonna sit there and lie. I told y'all how I had, people pleasing moments, and how that started in my life. How that started in my life was based off of, I would get so rejected when I would see things that were not right. Being a little kid, and I know I didn't share that a lot. But being a little kid and you see things, some dynamics, family dynamics, and things that are wrong, and you come out and you say they are wrong, and you stand up for yourself, and you get tortured by it, you get punished by it, it does something to your psyche, to the point where you want to see the good out of it in everything. You know, the biggest thing you want to look at is, think about Mommy Dearest. You know, oh, excuse me. Think about Mommy Dearest. Um, a friend had me to look this up. I remember we had to look this up as a project. When I went to college, we had to. It was my English class too. So English literature class, and I remember we had to look at The Color Purple. What is this? Y'all, my things was going up and down. It was unlocking and locking, and so I had to look at The Color Purple. Uh, it was Tupac's life, and I had to look at Mommy Dearest. So I did not. I read the book, and I was just so like distraught after reading the book that I did not want to watch that movie. And, movies usually only give you a shorter example of things to happen. Oh, you know what? Let's move. Y'all don't know I'm feeling the urge to move, so I'm gonna move my car. So y'all excuse me. Oh. Y'all know I be jamming in here, so excuse me on that. Ciao, ciao. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. Um, I know somebody lying. Y'all give me a minute. I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the neighboring park. Well, it's a park right here. We got like multiple parks in Fort Wayne. It's crazy. I step outside, it's a park. And I wonder why, y'all. Why in the hood they got few parks, y'all. You can't go outside. It's none of that. None of that stuff. It's starting to change a little bit out here too, because they messing with they cutting the trees and stuff, which I don't like. But nevertheless, woo. And so you have to make a decision. You really do have to make a decision on who you are going to listen to, who you are going to serve. All of that good stuff counts, and it takes and comes into play. Okay, the reason why it's coming into play. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is perfect. Look at God. The reason why it comes into play is that shoot. Here we go. Reason why it comes into play is that when you accept what somebody is their word or what somebody is giving to you, you are saying no to something else. You are saying no to something else. So say for instance, if I say, yes, I'm going to go to a comedy show. You know, I get invited to go to a comedy show, right? This is something real simple. I get invited to the comedy show. The comedy show is at Thursday at 6 p.m., okay? If I say yes to that, that means that I am unavailable for everything else but that comedy show at 6 p.m. You know, sometimes I don't understand how people think of anything else different. Unless I change my mind and I don't keep my word and I change and I do something else, then that means that I'm no longer available for the comedy show. I can only be at one place at one time, okay? Because we are not everywhere. We are not God. We are not everywhere, okay? So that's the same thing when you make your choices. If you saying I'm going to the gym and I'm exercising 3 times a day, that means at 3 times a day, you're not gonna be sitting there eating donuts, watching TV because you're gonna be exercising. Now, can you be watching TV exercising? Yes, but you won't be sitting there being idle. You have to say no to something. I mean, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something. Um, that's just what it is. Give or take. It's the balance, okay? And so, that is the same way when you are dealing with opinions and who you're going to choose and how to follow who created you, you know. And yeah, it's going to look different. It's going to look scary. It's going to look, because people will get on here on these platforms. Sometimes I want to haul off and just pop 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 pop. I really do, because a lot of these people be lying and people fall for it every time because they look for a polished look. We in human nature, we want to see stuff that looks so groomed and so polished that we forget to see the authenticity that it takes to navigate and to go into these different planes. I can guarantee you. What the heck is that? That's like a little... Is that a jackal or a fox? What the heck? Some kind of hybrid. Anywho, that is crazy. Yeah, it's very hard to navigate in a plane, in a plane or arena, thinking that you're going to surpass a lot of people, or you're going to excel. Not just surpassing people, I mean excelling. You're going to excel being... You know what? I should have just turned this on. Why didn't I just do that? You think you're going to excel being the same and not switching up and changing, you know, and thinking it's going to be not thinking it's going to be easy, but thinking that you could do the same things over and over again. And it's just like, how do you develop if you don't change? If you don't go and... Because, how can I say this? You can't get to another place. People will say, oh, I'm self-made, or I could do. You cannot get to another plane or another realm unless you connect to somebody who's in that realm to guide you into that realm. Okay? Just gonna tell you that. So, and this makes the decision a lot easier when you understand that dynamic. You know, a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, you get talent, you got this. That's why you see a lot of people who do have a lot of talent, who do have a lot of gifts, and they don't excel and go to the places that they need to go. And then you see somebody with less skills, less talent, less everything else, but they are excelling far past expectations because they understand this dynamic. They understand this dynamic and they follow it to the core. And it time and time again, it makes them very much successful. You have to connect to something that is on the plane that you want to get. Okay. People use different methods. But keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, y'all. It makes a difference. What else? Oh yeah, so that made my choice a lot better. That made my choices a lot easier about who I was deciding to be around, who I decided to trust in, where was I gonna put my faith at. You know, a lot of those things when I started seeing that made me lean on God a lot more, and it helped me. I can honestly say I didn't get to where I was at or get to where I'm at right now. And I'm not where I'm supposed to be at right now, but I didn't get to where I'm at without the help of God. And so I choose to have him, to allow him to come inside of me and to live and to navigate my choices, my decisions, my walks of life, and not in just one aspect. You know, not in just one aspect, because God really does care about you. He cares about your love life. He cares about your, not only just your career and your spiritual life, because people think your spiritual life is what you do. You going to church, all that. It's way more deeper than that. Your spiritual life is what you do every single day. How do you live and walk this thing out? You know, back in the day, people always talk about, you know, churches and things. There were a lot of places that didn't have church, and you still had to show what being a believer truly is, and it's walking in. I have to go. One thing that God showed me is that with my life, yes, he took me out of a lot of stuff because I'm a believer, but he showed me that I am going to be in arenas where I cannot say my personal beliefs all the time, but they're going to see it through my actions. They're going to see it how I respond to people. They're going to see it how I can get up and say, no, I don't want to fornicate, or I would rather sit back and not take this position because of what's attached to it in order to get something back. They're going to see it by how I respond to people, you know, when they do spiteful things to me, or when I feel like I've been offended when it's really me, you know. That's what God has shown me. That's what God has shown me during this time. Y'all, I'm going to have to cut this light off. So please excuse me. I hope y'all stay tuned. But I'm cutting the light off, y'all, because I don't want a lot of attention towards me. And it's a little bit past 5 o'clock. So it's going to get busy around here soon. But yeah, that's what it is. So, and God really was speaking to me, like, you know, telling me to do some things lately, even before, even with cutting people off. And I was scared, like, God, please help me, you know, help me cut these people off, because I'm struggling to do it. You know, even though you're telling me to do it, give me the strength to do it and let me not turn back. You know, I literally pray that, because if it was so easy, God wouldn't even have to tell me. You know, if it was so easy, I wouldn't be going through this. So, but nobody said it was going to be easy. And God brought it to my remembrance, like, because I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll stay with this person because they got this benefit and we can help and we can mutually help and do this. But God brought it to my remembrance, like, Okay, didn't I gave you expected end. I gave you an expected end. Okay? You don't have to second guess about a person, place, or thing. I gave you an expected end. I gave you an expected end. You don't have to guess. You see what I'm saying? When you go into the whole guessing mode and you all in your head, especially being a female, because God didn't really create us to be super in our heads like that. You are going to know. You're going to know. Anybody who is trying to get you to stay in your head, they're playing games. They're doing all kind of trickery and buffoonery. They want you to stay in that spot so they can be, you can be off your guard, off your course, okay? And believe it or not, a lot of people they get really pumped about that. It's getting a little chilly, y'all. This Indiana weather don't know what it want to do. People get pumped and they get excited about that. So you have to lean on your Father, because he knows what's best for you. And when God put that inside of me and gave me, instructions, it gave me more power to get up and navigate through it and to follow him. Okay? And so I implore all of y'all, even if you are not believers, I got people who I know for sure, they're not that close to me now, but some of them family members, some of them not, that have lost their faith in God. A lot of people who have that I'm related to who never believed in God. Some of them I didn't even know didn't believe in God. Some of them I knew, what they was up to, and be like, oh shoot, you cool, cuz, but I ain't. But anywho, I implore you to just take some time. Just take some time and spend with him and ask him. God is a merciful God. God is a gracious God. People will scare you about God. I used to be sometimes so afraid. I mean, not afraid to talk to God, but afraid to come and be more personal and intimate. But when I did talk to God, I understand that God is really merciful, because he would listen to me. He would hear when other people were not listening to me. God will hear, and he of course, because he already created you, and he will work with you. He comes where you at. Like, man, he comes where you at. He will make things new. I'm telling y'all. It'll look like all things are turned against you. Everybody trying to sabotage you at every end, and God will step in and make that thing happen. Or you'll be going through, everybody turning on you, right? It looks like you going through the worst thing possible. You ain't got no job, you ain't got nothing, all this stuff. And God taking care of you. God feeding you. God providing for you. I've had it happen, y'all. I've had it happen to the point where it was people who I've helped, and they had an opportunity to help me when it was my time of need, and did not. And God stepped in and made it so new, made it so crisp, that I couldn't even, I was so grateful. It was just almost like I had to thank them for not doing it, because I saw the blessing in being with God. I understood the blessing behind it, because it turned me out so much better. I had so much peace. I was able to sleep. I didn't have it all over my head that, okay, I got to pay this person back because they've done this, because a lot of people be expecting it. Some people don't, but if you have that in your head, sometimes you'll have that in your head too. So I'm just telling y'all, ask God. If you're going through that whole trial and error, ask him for yourself. I'm not gonna tell you to go and just go and get therapy or get some kind of coaching and all that, because I'm gonna tell y'all about that too. And y'all know I do coaching too, but there are people who have the skill set of pretend. The skill set of pretend. When I say the skill set of pretend, I'm not saying that people are coming off fraudulently as total fakes, even though there are people who are total fakes. They claim themselves to be gurus and coaches, just because they've learned a script and they've been script talking and all this. And then you look at their resume, you look at the proof and the things that they have behind them, and you see that can be totally far from the truth. Okay. Then you have people who have a little experience, and they think that they can dabble and go into different and deeper depths without doing the work. And so yeah, our market has been saturated. The market has been saturated with a lot of people who have not done the inner work. And so I will not tell you, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because once again, I am a coach. Not saying it's a bad thing, not saying it's a horrible thing. It's always good to improve yourself. But you have to be very selective. Ask God to navigate and find out what's best for you. Some people can be successful in their realm, and how you're gonna do it. Y'all can be in the same realm and or in the same arena, same programming that you're doing, going in the same direction, and what they're doing can be different than what God assigned you to do, and how they do it is going to be totally different from what you're doing it from. Um so yeah, keep that in mind. Keep it in mind. uh what else? I talked about following God, because that's the main thing. You got to know who created you. You have expected in. You don't really have to worry about it. Oh yeah, you know what? One more thing, I forgot about this, because um God wanted me to talk about that first. Now I almost forgot about it. The art of manifesting. Okay, and so being a believer. If you are not a believer, I don't really know what to tell you, but I know being a believer, God tells us we have an expected end. We have an expected end, okay? Okay, so that means our destinies, what we were created for, was written in the stars. We have it all, it's already done. The only thing we are doing is accepting it and walking it out. Either when you accept it, you walk it out. You reject it, you go into a whole nother, you choose another alternative, because it's free will. But since you believe and you accept it and you're moving forward, you might not get it all right, but you're moving forward. You have an expected end. Your end is already expected. God already knows what your end is going to be before your beginning. So wouldn't it be better to go with who knows your end before your beginning? And then okay, Bill, your end before your beginning. That's I just want y'all to really think about. That's just like somebody who made a car, okay, created a manual for it, created a manual for it. You buy that car, and then instead of going and following the manual to see how it works and how to keep it up and how to maintain it, you take it, and we do this a lot. You take it to the shade tree mechanic who knows nothing about that car. They know about certain cars, but they don't know about that specific car. Does that even make sense? When you can go to the originator. Go to the originator. Okay? Just something to think about. Just something to think about, y'all. So, yeah. On that note, I'm going to get off of here. I really am. Because I'm getting drowsy. I got to do a couple of things with my car. And I have to get ready for work. So, I'm going to get off of here. Hopefully something I've said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. And thank you so much for staying on. Bye.